Welcome to the Empowerment Hour. I'm your host, Joss Blake, and today we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood yet universal human experiences, addiction. Let's start with tracing your day back. You were probably scrolling through your phone at 2 a.m., knowing you should sleep, but you can't stop. Or maybe you're reaching for that third cup of coffee, that extra slice of cake, or finding yourself shopping online again despite your overflowing credit card. Sound familiar? Here's the truth that might shock you. Addiction isn't just about drugs and alcohol. It's woven into the fabric of modern life, and chances are you're dealing with some form of it right now. Today, we're going to shatter everything you think you know about addiction. We'll explore why willpower alone isn't enough, how your brain literally rewires itself, and most importantly, how you can break free from patterns that are keeping you stuck. This isn't just another self-help conversation. This is a deep dive into the neuroscience, psychology, and spirituality of human behavior. By the end of this episode, you'll have a complete toolkit for understanding and overcoming addictive patterns in your life. Get your daily dose of curiosity and inspiration with Scoob's bite-sized podcasts. Download the Scoob app now from App Store or Play Store and get instant access to 1,000 plus podcasts that fit perfectly into your daily routine. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's begin this journey of transformation together. Let's start with a question that might make you uncomfortable. What happens in your brain when you're overwhelmed by strong emotions and you don't trust your environment? Your brain immediately responds by flooding your system with stress hormones, cortisol, insulin, and adrenaline. It's like your internal alarm system going off, and your brain starts desperately searching for relief. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of addressing the root causes of our discomfort, we instinctively reach for external sources of comfort. Maybe it's scrolling through visually appealing Instagram posts, grabbing sugary snacks, downing caffeine-infused drinks, or binge-watching Netflix. These behaviors offer quick, feel-good moments that temporarily silence our internal alarm. The problem? This approach keeps the part of our brain responsible for calmness and mindfulness completely inactive. We're essentially training ourselves to avoid genuine peace by constantly seeking superficial comfort. This creates what I call the logic trap. We try to manage our emotions through compartmentalization, attempting to either control or completely ignore them. In extreme cases, this leads to a complete detachment from genuine pleasure. People become dependent on external sources to numb the pain from disappointing relationships, circumstances, and emotions. When this dependency becomes ingrained and persistent, that's when we're dealing with true addiction. Now here's something most people don't realize. Addictions walk a fine line between trying to suppress painful memories and our innate desire to feel connected and fulfilled. It's not just about weakness or lack of willpower. It's about our fundamental human need for connection being misdirected. Think about it this way. Our existence naturally involves creating deep, intimate relationships, starting from birth with our primary caregivers. Whether these figures are present and nurturing profoundly influences our relationship with pleasure and emotional fulfillment throughout our lives. The catalyst for addictive patterns? It's often the attempt to fill an emotional void left by someone or something significant. The relationship with any addictive substance or behavior usually reflects a twisted connection to pleasure, offering momentary relief from pain rather than sustainable, healthy satisfaction. Your analytical mind loves to convince you that specific objects or experiences can solve your problems. A drink will help you relax. A purchase will make you happy. A scroll through social media will make you feel connected. But the intuitive part of your psyche recognizes this as a complete fallacy. Unfortunately, addiction undermines your relationship with yourself and with the present moment. When you're dealing with residual pain from past events or struggling to cope with current demands, various forms of escapism seem attractive, but they actually deepen the lack of intimacy and compassion in your life, creating imbalance and disempowerment. Here's the real kicker. If you experience disempowerment in relationships, particularly at a young age, the resulting imbalance can feel overwhelmingly burdensome. Addiction perpetuates itself in a cycle that severely impacts your ability to form meaningful relationships outside of that addictive framework. We commonly acknowledge drug addiction, but countless other forms exist. Food addiction, sugar addiction, shopping addiction, gambling addiction, or even emotional dependence on another person. Any habit that becomes an unhealthy crutch can morph into an addiction. These behaviors serve as methods of escaping relationships, life struggles, or emotional turmoil. They offer mental reprieve when physical escape isn't possible, but they never resolve underlying issues. Our society has conditioned us to avoid pain and uncomfortable emotions, a legacy of cultural foundations that prioritize comfort over growth. This avoidance feeds into why addressing addiction is incredibly difficult, making it almost impossible to engage with personal intuition effectively. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. If you've ever struggled with any addictive behavior, you've probably heard this advice. Just stop. Use your willpower. Take control. But here's the brutal truth about overcoming addiction. It's not a journey you can embark upon without first accepting a fundamental reality. You are indeed addicted, and you've lost control in that specific area. The very first step in any recovery process is acknowledging the addiction's existence. Without this recognition, the grip remains firm, because you remain in denial of its control over your life. The human personality has a remarkable capacity to rationalize addictions, dressing them up in appealing disguises. Someone dependent on alcohol convinces themselves their drinking is just a harmless way to unwind, an avenue for fun or healthy social activity. Someone with a sexual addiction interprets their successive encounters as expressions of intimacy, love, or being free-spirited. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. There was a man we'll call Mr. Jones who struggled with severe drinking. He described experiencing overpowering compulsion to drink, often finding himself intoxicated for extended periods. Despite numerous efforts, he felt completely incapable of breaking his destructive habit and believed himself trapped in a cycle of failure. His perception of powerlessness became a powerful suggestion to his subconscious mind, reinforcing the habit and leading to consistent life failures. He was stuck in what I call the powerlessness loop. Realizing your own addictions requires profound inner exploration. It demands sincere introspection into the aspects of life where you find yourself rendered powerless, where external factors dictate your actions and emotions. You have to penetrate your own self-defense mechanisms. Even with conscious effort to seek clarity, even with obvious external evidence, like drunk driving incidents or marriages dissolving due to infidelity, people frequently persist in viewing their addiction as just a problem. Initially small, then growing more significant, but still masked. Why does the personality resist recognizing addictions so strongly? Because accepting addiction means admitting that part of yourself is uncontrollable. This realization compels a choice. Either continue allowing that part to remain unchecked or take deliberate action to regain control. Once you confront an addiction, ignoring it becomes impossible. Its resolution necessitates transformative changes in your life, self-image, and your entire perspective on the world. Humans naturally resist change, which is why we resist admitting to our addictions. Here's a crucial distinction. Addiction isn't simply an attraction. It's something beyond normal human inclinations. Addiction involves both magnetism and latent fear, generating an energy surge completely disproportionate to the situation. While healthy attractions can be fulfilled and left behind, addictions linger and cannot be satisfied. For instance, satisfying a sexual addiction isn't as simple as indulging in sexual activity. This indicates that what appears as sexual addiction is driven by dynamics far beyond mere sexual desires. Sexual addictions are particularly prevalent because human sexuality interlinks closely with power dynamics. The construction of sexuality and power within human beings was designed to complement each other. Consequently, anyone who is sexually out of control inherently struggles with power issues, specifically power over themselves. The essence of being grounded in your own power is completely incompatible with being overtaken by sexual impulses or any addiction that manifests as loss of individual control. This duality cannot coexist. The driving force behind any addiction is a manifestation of internal powerlessness and the desire to exploit something more vulnerable. This reveals the profound dynamic underpinning all addictions, a yearning to derive strength from a weaker entity. It's a harsh reality to confront, but it lies at the heart of negative tendencies within the human condition. Addressing these addictions demands embarking on a courageous journey of introspection and embracing significant personal transformation. Change is inherently challenging due to human nature's innate resistance, yet it remains essential for healing and reclaiming personal power. Let's dive into the fascinating science of how habits actually form in your brain, because understanding this mechanism is crucial to breaking free from addictive patterns. Every habit, whether positive or negative, unfolds through 4 distinct steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Your brain processes these steps in an identical pattern every single time, which means once you understand this loop, you can begin to interrupt and redirect it. Step 1. The cue. A cue acts as a signal that prompts your brain to initiate a particular behavior. It's essentially information that signals potential reward. Our ancient ancestors were attuned to cues indicating fundamental rewards like food, water, and reproduction opportunities. In today's world, we're focused on cues that denote secondary rewards: money, social recognition, authority, status, praise, acceptance, companionship, or personal satisfaction. These modern pursuits indirectly contribute to our survival and reproduction chances, which fundamentally motivates all human behavior. Your brain is constantly scanning both your internal state and external surroundings for signals suggesting reward proximity. Since the cue provides the initial hint of an impending reward, it naturally triggers a craving. Step 2. The craving. Cravings represent the driving force behind every habit. Without some level of motivation or desire, without craving a change in state, you lack motivation to act. Here's what's crucial to understand. The object of your craving isn't the habit itself, but rather the alteration in your state of being that the habit brings about. You don't crave smoking a cigarette. You crave the sense of relief it provides. You're not motivated by brushing your teeth. You crave the sensation of a clean mouth. Turning on the television isn't the goal. You crave entertainment. Each craving correlates to the desire to alter your internal condition. This is absolutely pivotal. Cravings vary dramatically between individuals. While any piece of information might theoretically trigger a craving, people aren't universally motivated by the same cues. For someone inclined to gamble, slot machine sounds serve as powerful triggers evoking intense desire. For someone uninterested in gambling, those same sounds blend into background noise. A cue is meaningless until it's interpreted through internal thoughts, emotions, and feelings, which convert a cue into a craving. Step 3. The response. This is the actual habit you perform, manifesting as either thought or action. The likelihood of response occurring depends on your motivation level and the amount of friction associated with the behavior. If a specific action requires more mental or physical exertion than you're willing to apply, you won't pursue it. Additionally, response depends on your capabilities. You can only perform habits you're actually capable of executing. Step 4. The reward. Rewards are the ultimate objective of every habit. The cue illuminates the reward, the craving revolves around desiring the reward, and the response encompasses acquiring the reward. We pursue rewards for 2 primary purposes. They provide satisfaction, and they serve as learning tools. Firstly, rewards fulfill your craving. They supply benefits. Food and water deliver essential nutrients. Job promotions provide increased financial means and respect. Improved fitness enhances health and attractiveness. The immediate significance lies in fulfilling your craving, whether for nourishment, social status, or acceptance. Secondly, rewards teach your brain which actions are worth replicating. Your brain acts as a reward recognition sensor. As you navigate life, your sensory nervous system monitors which actions fulfill desires and elicit pleasure. Experiences of both pleasure and disappointment create a feedback loop, enabling your brain to differentiate between beneficial and harmful actions. Rewards complete the feedback system and finalize the habit loop. Understanding this four-step process is your first step toward freedom, because once you can identify these components in your addictive behaviors, you can begin to consciously interrupt and redirect them. So, are you eager to break free from the patterns that hold you back? Download the Scoob app now and discover the transformative power of our bite-sized AI-powered podcasts, where you'll learn to identify and interrupt addictive behaviors and harness the power of your subconscious mind for positive change. Now, let's explore one of the most powerful aspects of breaking free from addiction: understanding how your subconscious mind works and how you can harness it for transformation rather than destruction. Humans are fundamentally creatures of habit, operating primarily through their subconscious mind. Habits develop from repetitive conscious actions that gradually instill patterns into the subconscious. Skills like swimming, bicycle riding, dancing, and driving are learned through consistent practice until they become second nature. This transformation results in an automatic habit mechanism guided by the subconscious mind in response to conscious thoughts and actions. Here's what's fascinating. You have complete autonomy to form either beneficial or detrimental habits. Repeated engagement in negative thinking or behavior leads to harmful habit development. The intrinsic nature of the subconscious mind is to function under a law of compulsion. Once a pattern is entrenched, it becomes a driving force. Let me continue with Mr. Jones's story to illustrate this principle in action. Remember, he felt completely powerless over his drinking, experiencing overwhelming compulsion that led to extended intoxication periods. His perception of powerlessness became a strong suggestive influence on his subconscious, reinforcing the destructive habit. But here's where the breakthrough happened. Mr. Jones's transformation began when he acknowledged the potential for change. Through deliberate effort, he learned to synchronize the conscious and subconscious elements of his mind. By having these components collaborate, he could implant new desires and ideas into his subconscious and realize them. He reasoned brilliantly. If his old habit pathways led to turmoil, he could consciously forge new ones toward freedom, sobriety, and peace. The critical shift occurred when he stopped viewing himself as powerless over the habit. Understanding that his thoughts were the only barriers to change meant overexertion wasn't necessary. His transformation involved cultivating powerful, positive mental imagery. He adopted a regular practice of relaxing and entering calm, meditative states where he vividly imagined desired outcomes. In these meditations, he envisioned his daughter welcoming him back into their lives, expressing joy over his newfound freedom. Estranged due to his drinking, Mr. Jones had lost family closeness, being unwelcome at home and unable to communicate with his wife. Despite this painful reality, he relentlessly visualized a future where he was reunited with his family, enriched by his daughter's smiling presence and cheerful voice in their home. Every time his thoughts strayed, Mr. Jones consciously refocused on this mental picture, continually reconditioning his mind toward achieving his goal. This consistent practice gradually reshaped his subconscious, laying down new habit patterns aligned with his aspirations. His perseverance and regular meditative exercises eventually enabled him to establish new, positive habit patterns, completely transforming his subconscious mind and his life. This illustrates a profound truth. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual reality. When you consistently feed it positive, detailed imagery of your desired future, it begins working to make that vision your reality. The key is consistency and emotional engagement. You can't just think about change occasionally. You must immerse yourself in the feeling and imagery of your transformed life regularly until it becomes your new automatic pattern. Now let's get practical. I want to introduce you to a powerful strategy that acknowledges human nature rather than fighting against it: self-binding. The concept of self-binding refers to deliberately creating obstacles between yourself and your chosen addictive substance or habit to curb tendencies toward overconsumption. This approach acknowledges that willpower, while important, isn't the central solution. Self-binding begins with accepting your diminished capacity for rational decision-making when faced with powerful urges. The objective is establishing boundaries while you still retain the ability to choose consciously. If you wait until cravings take hold, overcoming the intense drive for pleasure or avoiding discomfort becomes almost unmanageable. During moments of strong desire, rational decision-making becomes impaired. Constructing genuine barriers serves to insert a pause between initial urge and subsequent action. Let me tell you about Jacob, who struggled with a gambling addiction centered around a particular machine. I suggested he dispose of his machine in a distant dumpster, making retrieval completely unfeasible. The question I often pose to clients is, what barriers can you implement to make acquiring your substance of choice more difficult? Self-binding strategies fall into three main categories: physical, chronological, and categorical. Physical self-binding. I'm sure you would have heard of Odysseus from Homer's epic. Among the threats he faced returning from the Trojan War, the sirens, mystical creatures with enchanting voices, stood out. Their melodious songs drew sailors to doom against rocky shores. The only safeguard was avoiding their song altogether. Odysseus had his crew fill their ears with beeswax and securely tether him to the ship's mast, instructing them to bind him more firmly if he pleaded for release. This myth embodies physical self-binding, creating physical barriers or distance between yourself and the addictive substance or activity. Practical examples include unplugging and storing televisions in closets, relocating gaming consoles to garages, using only cash instead of credit cards, requesting hotels remove minibars before arrival, and placing devices like iPads in bank safety deposit boxes. Each strategy acts as a physical deterrent, ensuring access to temptations is intentionally limited. Let me share a case study about Paul and his partner Candy. Paul reached a pivotal moment in his professional life, contemplating significant transition. They decided to collectively brainstorm potential career paths, setting a 3-month time frame for preparation. During this period, they planned to lay groundwork for Paul's departure from current ventures and entry into his next career phase. Upon successful completion, Paul and Candy aspired to become engaged and plan their wedding. Concurrently, there were strategies in place to help Paul master self-discipline, crucial for personal development and overcoming behavioral hurdles. Paul struggled with stage 2 hooks: dishonesty, excessive gambling, overconsumption of alcohol, and recreational drug use. The effective strategy involved collaborating to choose affirmations and attitudes that resonated personally. These affirmations needed review multiple times daily. Adhering to them consciously until they became second nature helped dismantle inherent stage 2 challenges. Another key step involved developing self-discipline and understanding personal limitations. This proved essential for successfully reaching therapeutic goals. They explored areas where enhanced self-discipline could be transformative, not only in achieving therapy objectives but in relatable language. Demonstrating how life could improve without stage 2 behaviors was enlightening, encouraging reflection on changes that might not offer immediate gratification but promised significant long-term benefits. A provocative question often asked, "Why must I always have what I want?" Encouraging contemplation about whether you've ever known someone who possesses everything they desire can be eye-opening. Understanding that having everything you want is likely fantasy can prompt life reevaluation. By adjusting this attitude, you might envision life less entangled with destructive hooks, potentially leading to profound personal journey shifts. The key to all self-binding strategies is implementing them during moments of clarity, not during moments of craving. When you're thinking clearly, create systems that will protect you when you're not thinking clearly. Let's explore a dimension of addiction recovery that's often overlooked in our secular society, but has proven incredibly powerful: the spiritual component. Recognizing ourselves as spiritual beings often leads us to seek solace and strength from a higher source, especially during challenging times. This quest is evident in numerous addiction recovery programs, such as the 12-step approach, built on spiritually focused principles. The 12 steps provide a framework that aids individuals in recovering from addictions that might otherwise seem insurmountable. The process involves learning to lean on a higher power, which can be challenging for some individuals. Feelings of unworthiness may prevent them from seeking divine help. Despite this resistance, individuals in recovery eventually discover that turning to a higher power can offer substantial support and empowerment. David O. McKay expressed a beautiful belief. There exists within every person an inherent divinity that spurs us forward and upward, a spirit from the divine. At some point in life, everyone experiences the intrinsic desire to connect with the infinite, driven by a universal spirit that longs for spiritual peace and freedom. Engaging in spiritual healing becomes crucial for personal growth. This involves honing the ability to trust your impressions and becoming more attuned to your emotions. Developing such trust and connection with a higher being is invaluable to the healing process. One individual described their experience powerfully. When I am willing to submit my inner drive for instant satisfaction to the pursuit of spiritual or higher feelings, I realize I can achieve a longer-lasting high. So when I feel a powerful inner drive to view pornography, I can either get a quick fix or I can step back and think about my true goals in life. This reflects David O. McKay's wisdom that indulgence in appetites and physical desires offers only momentary satisfaction and may lead to unhappiness, while spiritual achievements deliver lasting joy. Some of the most profound spiritual highs occur when battling intense cravings, requiring endurance through challenging withdrawal symptoms. Many recognize that divine assistance guided them through these struggles. Emotions and spirituality are closely linked during recovery, often surfacing intensely. Allowing yourself to feel and process emotions is a significant step towards spiritual healing. Initially, clients often describe feeling numb and disconnected from their emotions. However, as they distance themselves from addictive behaviors, they reconnect with their emotions, enabling them to sense internal promptings and spiritual feelings. Emotions serve as internal indicators, signaling when something isn't right in life. For instance, recognizing the onset of strong urges is critical. Many learn to identify these feelings early and seek divine intervention, either to remove the craving or strengthen their resolve to choose healthier paths. The process involves several steps. First, recognizing the desire, followed by requesting help from a higher source. Questions like, "How can I overcome this craving?" lead to seeking solutions, which is essential for understanding the human mind. By visualizing different solutions, it becomes possible to create new mental pathways, diverging from repetitive patterns that facilitated addiction. This three-step spiritual approach has proven effective. Recognition. Identify the emotion or craving as it arises. Request. Appeal to your higher power for guidance. Response. Develop and implement a strategy to combat the craving. The crucial element is identifying the emotion and appealing to your higher power for guidance in developing strategies to combat cravings. Through this process, individuals can redefine their responses and actively engage in healthier, more spiritually fulfilling lifestyles. You don't have to be traditionally religious to benefit from this approach. Your higher power might be nature, the universe, your highest self, or simply the wisdom that emerges when you connect with something greater than your immediate desires. The key is cultivating a sense of connection to something beyond your current struggle, something that can provide strength, wisdom, and perspective when your own resources feel depleted. Now, let's explore one of the most powerful, scientifically backed tools for overcoming addiction, one that literally rewires your brain chemistry: physical exercise. The impact of drugs of abuse goes far beyond fostering strong desire for consumption. Their dire consequences stem mainly from the unnatural surge of pleasurable chemicals they release. This sudden influx disrupts the brain's natural balance, triggering homeostatic mechanisms aimed at reinstating equilibrium. One significant component of this response is activating the brain's anti-reward system. This system's primary purpose is counteracting drug-induced euphoria by dampening effects of excessively high feel-good chemical levels. Initially, this anti-reward system activates when the brain experiences unusually high dopamine or endorphin levels. Like pulling the plug in an overflowing bathtub to prevent mess, this system works to reduce extremes. However, with regular drug use, persistent triggering of this anti-reward system conditions, it to remain active even without drugs present. The brain, accustomed to amplified euphoria states, begins preemptively suppressing your ability to experience joy, leading to near-perpetual dysphoria. Furthermore, chronic drug use decreases dopamine levels circulating in the brain and diminishes dopamine receptor availability within the reward system. Consequently, individuals feel unmotivated, depressed, antisocial, and incapable of deriving pleasure from everyday activities, what neuroscientists call the dark side of addiction. Here's where exercise becomes revolutionary medicine. The long-term effects of physical activity diverge dramatically from substance abuse. Unlike drugs, exercise induces far less drastic dopamine, endorphin, and pleasure-inducing chemical spikes. While substances like cocaine or heroin deliver massive jolts to the neurological reward system, exercise provides soothing and stimulating effects. Consequently, the brain's reaction to regular exercise involves facilitating reward system activity rather than curbing it. Opposed to drugs, exercise promotes higher circulating dopamine levels and increases dopamine receptor availability. This doesn't diminish your capacity for pleasure, but enhances it. The heightened sensitivity of your reward system to non-drug rewards, ranging from food and social connections to simple pleasures like observing beauty, may explain why exercise aids substance abuse recovery. Both animal and human studies demonstrate that physical activity can diminish cravings for various substances, including cannabis, nicotine, alcohol, and morphine. A particularly telling experiment involved a randomized trial where adults undergoing methamphetamine abuse treatment engaged in an hour of walking, jogging, and strength training 3 times weekly. After 8 weeks, brain scans revealed notable increases in dopamine receptor availability within their reward systems. These findings suggest exercise can effectively counteract the anti-reward system's dominance, essentially revitalizing a numbed reward system. In this capacity, exercise aligns more closely with antidepressants' benefits rather than habit-forming drugs of abuse. The most similar process to exercise's effect on the reward system is deep brain stimulation, a promising medical intervention for depression involving implanting electrodes in the brain to regulate reward centers. Deep brain stimulation involves inserting an electrode into the patient's medial forebrain via a small skull hole. This electrode connects to a chest-implanted pulse generator, delivering continuous low-level voltage to the brain's reward system. Over time, deep brain stimulation remodels this system to evoke more robust responses, alleviating even long-standing treatment-resistant depression. Consider this. A meta-analysis of 25 randomized clinical trials concluded that exercise yields considerable antidepressant effects for individuals diagnosed with major depressive disorder. Another comprehensive review spanning 13 countries revealed that incorporating exercise alongside antidepressant medication yields greater improvements compared to relying solely on medication. While numerous factors contribute to exercise's mood-enhancing effects, its impact on the reward system is likely a significant factor in its antidepressant benefits. In essence, exercise equals self-administered deep brain stimulation, offering mild yet effective stimulation of the brain's reward centers. The benefits of reinvigorating the brain's reward system extend beyond those grappling with depression or substance abuse. As we age, our brains undergo changes, losing up to 13% of dopamine receptors in the reward system each decade. This decline results in diminished enjoyment from daily pleasures. However, physical activity can mitigate this decline. Compared to inactive counterparts, active older adults possess reward systems resembling those of much younger individuals. This partially explains why exercise correlates with enhanced happiness and lower depression likelihood as one ages. The powerful effects exercise has on enhancing well-being may explain why many previously averse to physical activity find themselves drawn to it in recovery. Ultimately, the same transformative properties that render exercise blissful and addictive for some also empower it as potent medicine for others. Embracing a physically active lifestyle can be crucial for maintaining mental well-being, facilitating addiction recovery, and fostering happiness as we navigate life's complexities. You don't need to become a marathon runner. Start with a 20-minute daily walk. The goal is consistent movement that gradually rebuilds your brain's natural reward pathways. As we wrap up this comprehensive exploration of addiction and recovery, I want you to take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered today. We started by understanding that addiction isn't just about drugs and alcohol. It's about any behavior pattern that keeps you disconnected from your authentic self and genuine pleasure. We explored how your brain creates these patterns through stress hormones and the desperate search for external comfort. We then examined the science of habits, that four-step loop of cue, craving, response, and reward that governs so much of human behavior. Understanding this loop gives you the power to interrupt and redirect it. We discovered how your subconscious mind can become your greatest ally when you learn to program it with positive, detailed imagery of your desired future, just like Mr. Jones did in his journey to sobriety and family reunion. And we concluded with the remarkable science of exercise as medicine, how physical activity literally rewires your brain chemistry, rebuilding natural reward pathways and reversing the neurochemical damage of addiction. Here's what I want you to remember as you leave this conversation. Transformation is not only possible, it's your birthright. Your brain has an incredible capacity for change called neuroplasticity. Every day, with every choice, you're either reinforcing old patterns or creating new ones. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are a human being whose brain developed coping mechanisms that once served a purpose, but now limit your potential. Those mechanisms can be rewired, redirected, and transformed. The journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about recognizing that setbacks are part of the process, not evidence of failure. It's about developing compassion for yourself while maintaining commitment to your growth. Whether you're dealing with substance abuse, behavioral addictions, or simply patterns that no longer serve you, the principles we've discussed today provide a roadmap. But remember, information without action is just entertainment. As you embark on your own journey to freedom, remember that transformation is just a decision away. Download the Scoob app now and discover a world of insightful podcasts that will guide you in aligning your choices with your values and unlocking your full potential. Your future self is waiting. Start your journey today. Thank you for joining me on The Empowerment Hour. I'm your host, Joss Blake, and until next time, remember, you are more powerful than any pattern, more resilient than any addiction, and more capable of transformation than you've ever imagined.